Hallo alle zusammen, wir machen heute weiter mit Kapitel 9, ein bisschen Wiederholung von den Relativpronomen und wir üben ein bisschen die Aussprache von unseren Vokabeln. Hi everyone, we're going to continue with chapter 9 today and we're going to do a little tiny review and clarification of relative pronouns, and we're going to do just start a little bit of work on pronunciation for this vocabulary. So you have this vocab sheet already. It is Wortschatz 1, first set of vocab for this chapter. So please take it out before you continue. Okay, so the vocab should now be in front of you. We're going to go through and do quick pronunciation of all of these different words. So we've got das Geschirr, all of this. Das Geschirr. Die Kaffeekanne. In einer Kaffeekanne ist Kaffee. Die Kaffeekanne. Die Teekanne. Das ist eine Teekanne. Da drin ist Tee. Dann haben wir die Tasse. Und unter der Tasse ist die Untertasse. Dann haben wir der Topf, das Glas, die Schüssel, das hier, und der Teller. In einem Glas trinkt man Orangensaft. In einer Tasse trinkt man Kaffee oder Tee. Auf einem Teller isst man ein Butterbrot. Und dann haben wir noch die Pfanne. In der Pfanne brät man Wurst an. In dem Topf kocht man Nudeln. Das ist das Geschirr. Dann haben wir das Besteck. Wir haben das Messer, damit schneidet man. Die Gabel, der Esslöffel, der Teelöffel und die Serviette. Das ist ein französisches Wort, die Serviette. In deutschen Häusern benutzt man das alles und das Messer ist immer rechts, die Gabel ist immer links. Also in der rechten Hand, in der linken Hand. Okay, so that's the pronunciation. Please make sure that you're repeating after me when I'm doing that. It's not just for your benefit to listen. What I said at the end is, in German manners, it is very important that you always have the knife in your right hand and the fork in your left hand. We do not put down the knife between taking bites. So, unless you're eating soup or pasta, your knife is going to be in your right hand and your fork is in your left hand at all times. That also, of course, means that you're not going to put your hand in your lap like we do in America. That is considered bad manners. They typically will ask you what you're doing down there. Okay, we're going to apply that vocab in a second, but for now I want to do a mini review of our relative pronouns. So we had talked about the relative pronouns in general, and you needed to remember how to pick the correct relative pronoun. So it was really, really important that you knew what was being replaced and what role it played in the new sentence or in the sentence that you're including as a relative clause. So first of all, you needed to know if you had something that was singular or plural. And then you needed to know whether or not the thing that was singular, if it was singular, was masculine, neuter, or feminine. Okay? And both of those things, that information, came from what we call an antecedent. It's a really, really odd word. I don't know if you learned it in English class. All it really means is that that information comes from the previous part of speech. So if you have a sentence, that first thing that you're replacing in that sentence is what it is. So if I write das Buch, comma, I want your relative pronoun. This was one of the examples. Das Buch, Something ich lese ist gut. So in order to get this information, I have to look at the book. So in this case, it's singular. And it is neuter. Let me zoom out a little bit. So, das Buch, something ich lese, ist gut. So that part of information is from the antecedent. Singular, neuter. Singular, neuter. Okay. Then, you needed another set of information. That came from the relative clause itself. The relative clause being that sentence that you're inserting into the other sentence. And what you needed from that was the case. So is it nominative? Is it accusative? Is it dative? Or is it genitive? And of course, we're not doing any with genitive just yet, but it could, of course, be genitive. So nominative, accusative, or dative in our case. So half the information comes from the original item that you're replacing, and the other half comes from the function. So in this case, I have ich lese, and then my little piece that I'm missing. So the tip-offs I have is I have a nominative pronoun. So I know that I already have my subject. And I have the verb that is conjugated for that. So I have I read the book. So the book, I then know is my direct object, the thing that's being read. So it's accusative case. Das does not change, so it just stays das. I hope that made some sense. If it did not, please talk to me. Okay, so what you need to learn how to do is take two sentences, identify the item that is the same, and then replace it with a relative pronoun in order to combine the sentences. The relative pronoun and the relative clause itself, they're always going to follow directly behind the thing that is identical in both sentences. So that was in this case in our example, das Buch. It's going to be right behind that. So das Buch, comma, das has to refer back to the book. Okay, I'm going to show you how to combine two sentences really quick, and then I'm going to make you do three on your own. So we've got die Frau kocht Tee, und der Tee soll in die Teekanne. What is the same in those two sentences? What item am I repeating? So hopefully you got that. So it is the tea itself. So der Tee. So to combine these two sentences, I have to drop der Tee from this sentence. Okay. When you have the whole sentence, this becomes really, really easy, at least in all cases except plural, because all you're going to do is take that little word right there and you're going to move that down, because the relative pronoun is the same except for plural where it goes from den to denen. So that was your plural. Otherwise, they look the same in all our three cases that we're currently working with. The second part that you have to do is you're going to take the verb and it gets kicked all the way to the end of that first sentence, or that original sentence. So I'm going to say, die Frau kocht Tee, der, in die Teekanne. And I'm putting my verb at the end. So there's my verb that got kicked. There's my der, which I took from the beginning, and T, of course, got dropped altogether. So that sentence was pretty easy. You didn't really have to do much because you already were given the correct gender. You didn't have to watch for case because that was given in the whole statement. And it was the same exact word, not a pronoun of some sort that you had to identify. So the practice sentences I have for you are about the same. I made them a little bit easier actually. So here are the three sets where you have to replace something each time, please go ahead and do these in your composition books. When you are done with that, please come get or grab me and hand me your composition book, and I'm going to check these 3 sentences for you. You then need to grab a partner, and with a partner you're going to need one of the textbooks on the back. Again, those are the light blue ones on the top shelf, and you guys are going to flip to page 308, and you're going to do exercise 9-11, definitions. It is going to look like this. So each time you have an image and part of a prompt. So here's the image, and they have the prompt on the top. In the actual ones, you have the prompt on the bottom. So ein Kellner ist ein Mann, and this shows a picture of a Kellner. There he is. Okay, then you have to look in the box on the bottom, and that is going to define what a Kellner does. Okay, not all of these are words that are directly in your vocab. Some are in the previous chapter. For example, Arzt. Automechaniker is a cognate, so car mechanic. Marktfrau is, oh, you can see it in the picture, I'm pretty sure. So you guys are going to have to match them up. It's practice for speaking, so I do want to hear you guys speak. You do not have to write these down. I just want to hear you guys speaking German, please. If you still have time by the time you finish that, I want you to work on Wortschatz 1, so the first vocab. If you just want to use the handout, that's fine. You have it in paper. Another way you can do it is to go to Quizlet. Again, Quizlet has great practice. It does spelling for you. You can practice how to actually write the words. You can listen to the words and then write them so that you don't see them first. You can do the race, and you can do scatter, and you can just flip through the actual flashcards. So make sure that you're practicing this Wortschatz. I realize we have a vocab quiz every single week, but we're going to have a quiz on actual vocab this week. I'm not going to tell you when. I'm just going to tell you that there is one. So quiz this week on Wortschatz 1.